Never mind. Sorry, Jeff. That's okay. Yeah. It said Greg and Matt. I was on the wrong.
You, Chris?
I'm good.
Okay, we'll call regular board meeting for EUFR Fire and Rescue at order. I got 1914. What time did you adjourn?
1913.
Perfect.
13.
14. Roll call. Matt Hona.
Chris Williams.
Mark Albert.
Greg Phillips.
Chris Werland.
Okay, do we have anything to add to the agenda?
I don't. I move we approve the agenda.
Okay, moved by Greg,
Second.
second by Mark. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Couple comments? Financial.
I move we approve the financials.
Really?
Yeah, that's good. Second.
It's been moved by Chris, second by Greg. I do have a comment, kind of alludes to what you guys are looking at on the other side, but overall, we're at 73.4% of our budget, 73% of our budget. It's a little high. It should be about 67, 2/3 of the way through the fiscal year. The one I saw was payroll taxes were almost double what we were forecasting. So that one was kind of a bit of a wow in there. So that might be driving that extra little percentage. I'm not sure if that math would add out to that exactly, but that was the other comment I had. So any further discussion? Those in favor of approving financials?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Payment of the bills.
Everything good to you, Greg?
Yes.
I move we pay the bills.
Go ahead, moved by Chris,
Second.
second by Mark. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that's from last meeting. We didn't have the form.
That's why we're doing January and February. Because the form wasn't ready.
Gotcha. Okay.
Should be scribbled in the bottom.
This January, but do we start? This should be the meeting date of January, right? What the time started, ended. Well, this should say January, is that right?
It states January at the bottom of the document.
But you're voting
You're voting on it in today's meeting,
in today's meeting.
and then at the bottom it should have.
Okay,
From then on, it would say the proper date at the top.
well, but if we're approving well, I'm just trying to wrap my head around, I'm forgiving, I'm slow, but.
Yeah, why
We're
would they?
approving the January meeting, wouldn't we have the January meeting date, time and ended, and then we approve it now?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
See what I mean? Because the date will be today's date when we approved it.
Your approval signature will have the date and the time.
Yeah, but the meeting
Correct.
should be,
That's the meeting.
this should be the meeting
Yeah.
date,
Agreed.
January, so we need to revise that to, I'll just write it out as January 15th.
I can do that.
I got it. It's covered. We'll just figure it out.
14. You started at 7:14.
Got it right here. I know that in February we start at 7:10, Matt.
Okay. I don't have February's.
Yeah, you were here kind of.
I was here most of, January was 1937. And we ended at 1:15. Okay. And then.
Seven ten. Finished it 1934.
All right, got those fixed.
I apologize for interrupting, but did you already ask if there was anything that needed to be added to the agenda?
Yes.
I missed.
Oh,
Can I make a suggestion?
sure.
Okay. I would actually like to request that we remove Joanne McKern from the Bank of East Northern account and that myself.
Did you do that with temporary employee?
I don't think so.
Yeah. That would be my only question is until you're an actual employee, I don't know that we can go through the whole bank process.
In the interim, I would have to continue using Joanne's credentials to log into that. Also,
That's problematic.
yeah.
That's a problem. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, isn't Dave actually the administrator of our online banking? Can he assign a temporary employee a login for obtaining records?
So when, I'm sorry, when we called the bank, they said that a letter that's been moved and approved would be required in order to do what you're
Oh,
saying.
even though you wouldn't be a signer on the account, you'd just be accessing the records.
Right, that's,
Okay.
we'll put that on 3 B for good of the order. And we'll have a little further discussion. They give us a little time to mull that around a little bit. Okay, back to minutes from last meeting and, well, I guess we'll do one at a time. But we got January and February's to approve.
I move we approve January's minutes.
Okay, January's been moved by Greg.
Second.
Second by Chris. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. What about February?
I move we approve February minutes.
Okay. Been moved by Greg,
I'll second it.
second by Chris. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Wrote that on. Catch that. Update on the IGA with City of Pendleton.
We're giving them a lot of business. They haven't not sent us an invoice yet for January or February. So we're anticipating something coming through soon. I don't know if they're gonna quarterly invoice us. We thought it was gonna be monthly. But that we're watching for that,
So they have not invoiced us yet.
correct?
Okay. Vote.
Has been.
Okay.
It's more.
All right. Any other comments or questions on the IGA with Pendleton? Okay, budget update.
So I'll dovetail onto what Chris was saying earlier. We have contingencies in both of the budgets. They were more in the 2 or 3 years back. They're shrinking. They're going down, especially the medic contingency. It's going down quite a bit. If it's the cost of doing business is the cost of doing business, but, the funding model that we have, we're catching up to it. And something just is gonna have to be done at some point. Either a bond or a levy or a new kind of income somehow. I've always thought of this entire business being a three-legged stool. One leg is the facilities, one leg is the people, and the last leg is the apparatus. So we're in pretty good shape on two of those, but in one, we're really not. We're, as yes, everybody knows, we're operating some rigs out there that are 25 and 30 years old or older. And that's just where we're at right now.
Well, I think along the lines from the last meeting, whether we just want to be, probably a little more than just chatting back and forth, but maybe we get a person or two from each of the boards to be talking on the budget development stuff. Make sure that, you know, see as far down the road as we can and see how long those contingencies are gonna last and see where we can shave, et cetera. You know, and maybe we look at, talk about new revenue, expenses, drives your budget, obviously, so. From the fire board, does anybody have any desire to help with that in the next few weeks to couple months?
It wouldn't be a situation where somebody would be given a sack paper and figure that they would be more like oversight and look at the numbers that Andy and I are putting together and then, you know, question and answer, that kind of thing. So I don't want anybody to think that most of the work has been done. We just, the last shifting of the numbers is what has to take place. We don't really know what's going to happen with the fire chief's position yet. It's going to have some budget impact no matter what. So there's a few things that we kind of know, and there's a few things that we kind of don't know. Is that semi-accurate, Andy?
I don't want to be involved now.
That'd be awesome. I don't know, we're gonna formalize that, but yeah, if you wanna take on that role, that would be very much appreciated. I'm just gonna say with budget oversight. So. Future long-term look. Say long
Forecast.
So are you asking to put together a little committee, we'll call it, to fire to ambulance? Sit down and have a meeting or two to,
I don't know that a committee is the right word, but just, I think a person from each board would be sufficient to just.
okay,
Maybe it's more like be involved with the process of, as Dave said, oversight, look over their shoulder, just kind of keep a pulse on what's going on. Just for another set of eyes, I think. So.
I think also having somebody that's aware of what the actual monthly expenses are would be a good idea as well, right?
right,
You know, I don't know that he's, yeah, I don't think it's a formal committee forming or a nomination, but a volunteer would be.
we'd like to nominate Ray. For our.
Don't need a formal nomination, we need a
Or
volunteer.
a poll?
He said.
Thanks,
It's not
Ray.
formal, I can make loud. It's
That's right.
not, oh, it is something.
Okay. So Ray and Chris will help with that. We'll appreciate that.
Thank you,
Oh,
thank
it's
you.
gonna be Chris's job.
There we go.
Well, yeah, if you took Chris, I can't have Chris, and that's not fair.
Anything else on the budget? Comments? Okay. Shift gears and get into new business. So Number one, it listed as July 1st, fire chief duties. I think that'll work for a placeholder. At our last meeting, Chris, you brought up kind of the future of what happens when the chief's contract runs out, what our options are. I think we boiled down to essentially there's three options ahead of us. It's modify, extend, renew, get a new contract with chief. Option two would be fly advertise an open position for fire chief. And option three would be solicit Pendleton Fire with the current IGA modification to expand into chief duty, chief duties. So those are pretty much the three options ahead of us. The homework was to kind of think that through, make your pros and cons list, and then come back to this meeting for a discussion amongst the board on the merits of each of those options, and then at the end of it, we need to chart a path forward and select one of those and move forward with that. We're now March, we got April, we got May, so we got 3.5 months left until something to take effect. So I think we're in the right time frame. So with that, I would open it up to the table for discussion on options A, B, and C, or options 1, 2, and 3, just to give folks a take.
I'll say options 2 or 3. Sound really good.
Can you list them again?
Option A or 1, however you want to list them, if you're alphabetical or numerical, is extend, renew, create a new contract with Chief Davey. Option 2 would be flying a position for fire chief and hiring that open competitive process. Option 3 is
City of Pendleton.
solicit Pendleton for a modification of IGA.
Okay.
So just real quick, Andy and I have made a budget that does not have a fire chief salary in it. So if the board decides that it wants to do that, it's gonna make about $1.50 or $1.40. Or are we
140 to 160.
140, 160? To get somebody here who the board is.
Matt, is the floor open for discussion?
Floor is open. Absolutely right.
Well, it might help if Chris and I looked at the budget, but I'm just wondering if we can't afford full-time fire chief. Or we're gonna have to figure some sort of admin chief arrangement at a lower rate. So depending on what Pendleton would cost, I think that would be good. Or if we were to, and I guess the other option, maybe if Dave wants to work for a while at a lower rate or something for a shorter period of time or something like that. My thought is we're gonna have to lower that payroll somehow. I don't know if Pendleton's gonna be less.
Pendleton's doing this exact thing for Pilot Rock Fire for about 50 grand a year. Now Pilot Rock runs probably 60 to 90 calls a year, whereas we run around 450, 460, 430, right around there ish. So
Pilot Rock doesn't have.
they don't transport.
Yeah, no. Think they have paid staff,
No, they don't.
so they're volunteer based, so it's a little different. We've already got an IGA, so we've already got that established. There are options there. If we add to an IGA, it's reasonable to think that we're gonna pay more for that IGA. I don't think that is the way the world works. I don't think it's gonna be as costly as having our
But
own
not
staff.
another $100,000.
Yeah, yeah, and so, and just, if I remember right, the IGAs, the whatever they are. Like 190 agreements, the 190 agreements, they do have. Limits and thresholds on how much funds can exchange between them, so. We would need to. Keep that in mind, before we have to do something else, if it were to exceed that. But again, if we're hiring a. If we're looking at maintaining the current fire chief versus hiring a new fire chief. I mean, those are essentially the same cost potentially to the district, right? Or very, very similar. So,
Well, I think we're not gonna get somebody with Dave's experience for the same price. I mean, we're getting Dave at about it. I mean, compared to market rate, somebody with this expertise, is years of experience. So I think to rehire would cost more than what we're currently paying. And I agree with Ray. I don't think our district can support 2 full-time administrators. But if we have a health administrator that can also be like the local operations liaison or whatever and we're able to tweak the IJ with Pendleton and get some big picture. I mean, big picture help, like upper elevation view of things, a go-to person. Just make sure that we're hitting strategy and hitting all the things we're responsible for. And also that moves us towards the Stronger Together goal. That would be my first choice. We can always fly a position, if we go down, we investigated that track and it just wasn't panning out like we'd hoped. We can always fly a job. But my suggestion would be to try to investigate option 3.
I kind of agree with Chris. I think that the ambulance years ago turned everything over to Pendleton when we didn't have a lead. And our constituents suffered. And I don't want to 100% hand it over to Pendleton. I still think we need a leader here. And if Andy's that leader with the oversight of the city of Pendleton, hey, I've got questions, how do I do this? But he would be willing to basically run our office with oversight, however that works. That's my choice, as long as we can afford that.
Is there any requirement with the collective bargaining agreement? How does that work? So we have to have a fire chief, correct? Who do they?
There's nothing in the CBA that says that you have to have a fire chief. There's nothing. The CBA looks the other direction and does not look towards. I'm using look as if.
well, it uses management as a language in there, and management can be internal or external, and we're hiring it out.
Okay.
We're already hiring out our HR, right? HR has a lot of that stuff in there, so I don't see that impacting it or being an issue.
I think it's also worth noting that the job market is very saturated right now, so flying a position might yield you something that you don't think is possible under normal economic circumstances.
Yep.
Another option is there any way to promote from within? Because, I mean, I would be interested in some type of fire chief role. I've talked to a few of them about it. I do have some experience, not as a fire chief, but ambulance director and a fire and EMS for 20 years and some change, even with the military.
Mhm.
So you would still get a fire chief. Maybe not full-time, but I'm full-time here.
I think that would fit into flying the position, whether that's an internal promotion or whether that's hiring somebody off the street, so to speak. Process would be the same, and if that's the choice of the board,
Right.
then you'd compete with it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you wouldn't lose a full-time employee because still a paramedic firefighter. Something else could be done with that, so you're not having to hire yet another one to either fill interim chief or ALS slot.
But
don't
if you are
think-
management, you wouldn't be on the front lines.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
but
And
if,
so we would be losing a paramedic.
Our CBA doesn't allow the chief to fill shifts.
It is union work, you're right.
Well,
Take it work.
there's a process, but yes, like, it's not the first choice. Christine, do you have anything?
I do not. I know that you find that hard to believe.
I do find.
I do too.
The new information on the budget made me, mull things over. I think we could get a decent contract probably with Pendleton, at a lesser rate than what we would be paying a brand new for someone in that role full time as a, administrator. So I don't know. Unfortunately, we're all money driven, and the budget is a really big part of, how we do things. And so I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to really take a good hard look at what the budget says and where we go from there. I mean, we've had a pretty good run with how we're operating, but obviously we've had to, change some things up in the last few years. Well, even since I've been on here, and it hadn't even
Been a year.
been a full year yet. But it's just kind of the way things are, the direction that things are going. And, like you mentioned with the what's that, the growing together, it's kind of a settlement. So, not saying that I'm set on that 100%, but just given the new numbers and things to look at there, it's, really need to see where we can pull our bootstraps up and wade through the muck.
We still have 2 paid assistant chiefs, correct?
Not in that sense, no. They're paid when they come in, they're paid if they pull a shift, they're paid if they pack the duty phone, etc. for a weekend. So they're not paid. Paid when they work.
And this was to support the CBA because when we put the CBA in place, we were trying to find every single penny and dime that was everywhere.
And I think that'll continue. Well, I don't know if that'll, we'll figure it out. There'll probably be maybe some modifications to that. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought that far down the path yet, but we gotta figure out what we're gonna do with the chief first. Greg, do you have anything?
I don't have enough information right now to make a decision to send the job to Pendleton. I think that I need to know more before I give up direct control of the fire district of Pendleton. I see some disadvantages to that, but if that's all we can afford, then that's of course what we have to do. But I want to make sure that it is forced before we do it.
I think everything seems to be back on the fact that what's the budget gonna tell us?
Well, I can read between the lines and tell what the budget's gonna tell us. We're carrying, we're chewing it to carry over every year.
Yeah.
It is a worry point for me, the sustainability of the two districts. I know we've been trying to merge as much of the stuff as we can in order to realize as much of the savings as we can. So, you know, duplication of efforts and services and everything there. We've kind of gone as far as we can with that stuff in the environment where we're still remaining two separate districts, and there is no easy way forward on that.
No.
You know, we kind of ran into a wall a bit there, so we're doing everything we can there. You know, are we sustainable 3 years from now or 5 years from now? You know, all things being equal, that's where my mind is at, and what is going to be here 3 years, 5 years, and does it fit with the Stronger Together? Does it fit with that countywide plan to try to realize some efficiencies at the bigger scale? And to me, the IGA with Pendleton, it affords us a bridge to that gap. In my mind, it's the best path to get us to that future state. You know, we do have a health administrator here. Just talking out loud, there'd probably be some look into that PD. You know, it's accurate for what they're doing now. Are we going to have to modify some stuff with some day-to-day operational things and being that point of contact? So there may be some language change in there. So those are some of the things that will touch that we'd have to, you know, be looking at. If we decided right now that that's what we want to do, to your point, Greg, Pendleton doesn't have to accept it, and they can say absolutely not. We like the IGA where it is. So nothing that we do commits another agency to do something for us. And to me, that path forward is either we're figuring out a way to keep Dave on, we're figuring out a plan to push forward to fly a position open competitive, or we're literally soliciting Pendleton, hey, would you guys be interested in modifying? Okay. So in that case, we have the next three and a half months to get that as ironed out. So.
See, I don't necessarily feel that I want to give fire chief title to Pendleton, but I wouldn't object to having a little oversight where if he had questions, he could know where to go like he does now. And you know, whether that's an extra $1,000 a month, it would still be cheaper for us to bridge that gap in the future for the summit without allowing them to take over, quote unquote, our department. I remember when they did it before, and that was only medic, I get it, but our constituents are up there in the cemetery because it took them too long to come a half an hour here and then up the mountain. I remember many of them happening to meet us down here in Weston to get the help, and
Well, that was a completely different time.
it
We
was.
still have full-time staff here.
I
So
agree.
that response
But
time wouldn't change.
constituents still remember that.
Well, a lot of them still remember when the schools were separate too, and they're still mad about it. So, I mean, if we are going to grow, we need to accept some change. And I'm not saying that when we had, you know, when they were covering, when we didn't have anybody, that it was great, because
We have
I was-
people here at that.
I was working for the city when Pendleton would answer calls, and yes, I'd have to sit and wait for a half hour if they showed up. But just because we allow Pendleton to have some oversight doesn't mean that we're losing all of our full-time employees and they're gonna move to Pendleton.
So, yeah, I'm gonna add on to that. So if, just like we have an IGA right now, they're handling payroll, they're handling HR. We're paying them to do those services. We could view it as they've taken over our payroll and our HR. I look at it as we farm that off to them, like we're paying for that service. And that's a choice that we make to do that.
Wouldn't it be
We
like,
still retain we're still a district, we are still a board, we still decide what happens with our district. And if we choose to pursue chief services in that IGA and they agree to provide that, that chief now works for the board. And so, yes, they also work for the city manager at Pendleton or whatever their org structure is. But they also report to us because we're paying them to do that and provide that oversight and be that person for our folks to go to when they need something. No different than we would go to Dave. And so, and at that point, we have that in the IGA. There's severability. If we don't like the way it works, we can do something different and choose a different path. But again, I don't view it as Pendleton taking over. I view it as we're shopping the market for the best value we can get for the service that we need. Because we do need that service. We do need that oversight. We do need that big picture look at stuff. We have operational stuff here during the day. I think that's great. I think we're actually set up very well to, whether we go here or not, I think we set ourselves up very well to test this, and maybe there is a test period, or maybe, you know, just like there is with anything, we sign an annual IGA or we sign it, it's good to go until we decide it's not. Like, we've got all kinds of options on how we want to do that. So I don't view it as them taking over at all. That's not.
I don't think we did at that time either until they did. And that's my concern, is I don't want us to lose our identity anywhere in this IGA where all of a sudden our volunteers were no longer allowed to work out of our Athena building. They had to drive to Pendleton and be on that ambulance to do our constituent. I don't want to lose our oversight here, whether that be Andy or whoever, oversight our people. And so if our people need the phone call to Pendleton, I don't have a problem with that, as long as our people stay in Weston. I guess is where I'm.
Well, I don't disagree with anything you're saying, Chris. I just don't think.
Roddy's not the
I know
previous
this
chief.
board won't let that happen. And I don't know how I wasn't part of this or part of that group.
I wasn't either.
When
It
that
was before
happened.
me.
And so, you know, folks might be gun shy to that, but again, times have changed. Pendleton's been through 6 fire chiefs since then. It's probably accurate.
that's why I'm laughing, Matt, because you're right.
Yeah.
I've seen about 6 come and go since I've been around, maybe more. Anyway, and I'm not poking fun at them. It's just things are different than they were. The boards are different, and I know you're not going to let that happen, and I know everybody at this table is not going to let that happen. And so that would be the commitment moving forward, is that we have to provide that oversight to whether it's their chief, our chief that we hired, or if we contract it out with somebody else, we have to provide that oversight no matter what.
Yeah.
Well, and our language was very specific when they took over our payroll and HR. I mean, we went through that with a fine tooth comb, and we had buy-in from everybody at the table and City of Pendleton as well. I mean, I don't think that wouldn't happen again, that we would be able to have that dialogue and be very specific. Because I'm with you. I don't want somebody else taking over our district, but I don't foresee that happening.
I would just say, keep in mind that every IGA has a dental clause, so if you make an addendum, then the addendum is gonna say, now we're gonna do this, or this is the change, and the out clause that's in the IGA can be part of the addendum. It can be shorter, it can be whatever people agree on.
Let me ask you a question. And you could probably answer this better than most. Um, since our labor force is unionized, and that union is centralized in Pendleton. And if our management, all those we have oversight over it, it's also in Pendleton. How accurate is the information we're gonna get from Pendleton? Is it gonna be, do you think it'll be transparent? Or do you think it'll be biased?
I think it'll be transparent, but at the same time, so you kind of want to drink from a fire hose when it comes to something like that. You sort of want to be overwhelmed with information, and then what you need, you hang on to, and you retain what you don't need. You won't retain it, so it's hard to say one way or the other. I'm sorry, that's a non-answer, kind of. But
It is a non-answer.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm punting with it, but
No, that's all right.
I'm trying to understand your question a bit more, Greg, on if management and labor are centralized in Pendleton, so to speak. But we do have labor here. The labor side doesn't change. I mean, they're still represented by the union through it's not subcontract, I'll get the language wrong, but they have their own contract here that's a sub off of the Pendleton chapter, if I have that. I'm probably butchering it right.
Well,
Stuff,
I know
but-
what you mean.
It's kind of like they have their own local here under the chapter that's in.
Well, but it's under the local Pendleton, it's like a subset here. That's not going away. So those rules still apply to our employees. Our employees are still hired by, in this case, I would suppose if we farmed off chief services, then they would be doing some of that hiring. But we could definitely put a clause in there that we have somebody involved with that hiring, however that goes. Like that's the stuff that we would need to work out in details, but we'd still have influence over that. So the union contract doesn't change at all.
Well, I think we would certainly have the authority, we'd have the power to do what we need to do. There's no question about that. And I think that the members of this board would certainly work just like we are now. There wouldn't be a change there. My concern is that the people unionized and went with Pendleton for a reason. And so Pendleton, I think, on the labor side, has greater influence than we do right now today. I could be wrong about that. I hope I am. I'm afraid I'm not. So if the management is also heavily influenced by Pendleton, I just want to make sure that the board, if we go that way, and I see good reasons for it. I really, the budget is we were financed as a volunteer fire department, and we're not anymore. And so obviously, if our income is improving at 3%, and our expenses are increasing at 8%, it's gonna crash. So I can see some good reasons. I just want to make sure that the board has enough actual information to make good decisions so that they can manage our resources. And I see a risk in that. But I don't know enough about it to make a decision based on that. I see a risk there.
Would we be really the contract with Pendleton would be more of an operations chief as opposed to an admin chief? Or not?
No, not in my mind. It'd be they're providing that umbrella. You know, if we were to go this route, my expectation would be they're into the budget, they're making sure that the numbers are good, they're looking at oversight, they're developing future budgets, with some assistance. They're providing that big picture while we're doing operations here. Like we have somebody to run operations here. Like I said, we'd have to modify that, or the health district would have to modify that somehow to make sure that, if the duties change, we need to change the PD with that, right? So, so there would be some adjustments we'd have to do, but we're still gonna run daily operations out of here. Andy's doing the scheduling, he's making sure the shifts are staffed, he's doing all that stuff now, right? Like,
Are you doing fire too?
it's all the same.
Or just ambulance?
It's all the same,
It's all the same.
all the same.
And so we have that piece in place. It's the where does Andy go when he needs some help with this thing? Where does he go when he needs, this or that? And that's that next level that we would get if they accept it. So just instead of going to Dave, he'd be making a phone call to him.
Has anybody talked to anybody at Pendleton about this? And what do they say?
No,
Okay, they're open for discussion.
they're open for discussion.
Good.
Any consideration or talk about maybe selling some of the ancient fire equipment and maybe the station to help with the budget?
I don't think the ancient fire equipment's worth anything.
We've auctioned it before and got absolutely peanuts because it's old.
Yeah,
Nobody else can use it as a fire.
and I don't know that the stations have any real estate value, really. It might, but I don't know why.
Trouble with the stations is the political angle. Some people are expecting to have for decades seen it building there, and it gets into politics. I'm totally tracking Juniper Station, but
Juniper's not ours.
but people are still expecting to see those.
No, it's not. We had $1 for 35 years. It is rented.
Okay.
It may have our stuff in it, but the building and the property is not ours.
All right.
We own the 2 shops in Helix were paid for and ours totally, which we sold the one and now we have the other one, but Juniper is not ours.
And Athena's not ours either.
Yeah.
It's, we have the right to use it, but if we quit using it, it goes back to the city.
But don't we have to pay the electricity, all that stuff?
Yeah, but that's like a rental. That doesn't mean we own the building or the land. For Juniper.
So it's not a bad thought, squeezing every little dime we can out of everything. You put some effort to get some numbers, but I don't want to discount it. It's gonna be a stopgap or a very cheap.
It's a one shot.
Yeah. One shot, you sell it, you're done. You live another week or month or year or whatever, so. Back to the issue at hand. Contracts up with Chief Beatty on June 30th. We need a plan moving forward. For that service. Or some sort of service to replace that. And it's getting time to make some sort of decision.
Are we at a place where everybody'd be comfortable with a couple of people having a conversation with Chief Peretti on the possibility? Come back next month to firm up. That sounds like either option 2 or 3. Is that a reasonable place to be?
So,
Like what a framework and responsibilities would look like?
well, I think we could. I don't think we need to wait till next month. So I think how I would envision this going is if we were to choose that path. I would be on the phone with the chief tomorrow. And we'd probably set up some sort of an executive session, since we're negotiating a new administrative services, right? Where the boards could get together with the chief and go over what that might look like. And I'm 100% sure he'd have his own expectations of what, hey, this is how I would envision this. These are deal breakers for me, and these are all the other things, and we'd have to get some sort of alignment on that. And then we'd have to move forward either officially in an official capacity or look at other options. So we'd have that next week, I'm thinking.
We need to have that conversation regardless of if we'd go 2 or 3. I mean, it, so that we have an idea, especially when you guys are coming together and trying to crunch numbers on the budget. I mean,
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, with Greg, I think we need that number for Pendleton.
Sooner than later.
Well, I think that would be
Before
part of
I
that,
could- I
that'd be
could
part of
make a
that
decision.
discussion, but again, I think. We can fly a fire chief job anytime if that's what we decide to do.
True.
And I don't wanna force us into option 3. By force, I just use force. But.
You could use option 3 as your parachute if you need to.
Well,
Why don't we do 3 for 1 year until July of next year and then have a little bit of elbow room to,
so, well, let me just ask, why would we limit it?
well,
We've got an out,
Who knows
we've
what?
got an out every year, every month, everything. If it's working, roll it. If it's not working, why
We're
wait a
done.
year? We need to crush that at 3 months or 4 months.
Absolutely,
That's correct.
You
absolutely.
know, so I don't wanna put restrictions on anything that we're doing. I just want the board to decide, hey, we're gonna step out of this meeting and we're gonna hire a fire chief. We're gonna step out of this meeting and we're gonna, you know, figure out how to keep Dave around. We're gonna step out of this meeting with the intent to pursue an IGA with penalty. Like that's what I want the board to decide. That way we can leave here and start working on whatever that next step is. Because we don't have a surplus time to get this done.
That's
so do
true.
we wanna take a vote?
Yeah, I'm ready to vote.
1, 2, or 3?
I think somebody's gotta make a motion initially, right?
We got these now.
Okay,
But I also don't wanna lose sight of a couple folks that are partners in this too. So. It would be a little weird to have them vote at fire meeting. But I do want your thoughts and opinions. That makes sense. Somehow. Without putting you officially on record.
Why do we have to have an official vote? Why can't we just have a poll?
A survey?
Because we do want to include the health district, absolutely.
We have polls and we can take a vote.
You know,
Well, do we have to vote on?
Without an official vote, we don't really have marshals necessarily.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, you're right. You're right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe that's fine, and maybe we don't need to vote on it. So I don't wanna go pursue something that the board didn't
You're
decide
absolutely, yep, absolutely right.
either, one way or the other.
so
Okay.
for you two that don't get to officially vote this meeting,
1, 2, or 3?
are you opposed to investigating a potential for an IGA with Pendleton?
Not at all,
With the ability to back out at any time, I mean,
absolutely.
right?
Yes, but I wouldn't be willing to vote for a motion
You
until
can't.
I see the numbers.
Oh, right.
And I haven't seen the numbers, so I wouldn't vote in favor of either option until I see the numbers.
Right. It's gotta come down to numbers and responsibilities and, yeah.
And I would be concerned if the fire board votes for either option with the motion stating this is how we're gonna go, no matter what. Without seeing the numbers. Okay,
I get your point, but we're not voting to enter into an IGA.
you want,
And we're not
to
voting to,
investigate,
we're voting to solicit and pursue that as a potential.
As
We're
an
not-
option.
I mean, I tend to agree with number 3, that's where I'm
Yeah.
thinking, but I also know that Pendleton could come back with some really high numbers.
Oh, sure.
And I think that would be negotiated, and then we'd have a decision to make to say, hey, do we want to enter this modified IGA or do we not want it? That would be the true vote of the board.
Okay.
I guess I would entertain a motion to solicit Pendleton to modify the IGA and see if they're willing and see if we could, hammer out some of those details. If they
And
are,
what
so.
the numbers are.
I'll say it like this. I move to pursue a mutually beneficial IGA for chief services with the city of Pendleton.
I'll second it.
Been moved by Chris. And seconded by Mark. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Policy suggestions.
Is that this one?
That's not what I have, no. But that one is really important, especially to what, that's really important. This sounds kind of silly, but the policy that we have for changing policy is incomplete. It's 103.7, and I've got 5 copies here. You're welcome to take a peek at. Whoops.
Find another one that says Dave's.
I'm sorry about that. And then this extra one that I have, it's in red ink. I just like the wording on this one better. This one that we have
A copy of that.
currently is it's not complete, and if you make a policy suggestion or a change, this allows for union input and basically time for the guys to see it and to make sure that they're okay with it, and to give them input on possible suggestions, and then some time to modify the policy suggestion for the board has its chance to, vote on it. The 1037 that's in our policy manual now doesn't provide for that. It just basically says when the suggestion comes along, starts the board, and then it goes out there. My suggestion is to completely replace 1037 with the way it's written up. Not to try and piecemeal again, but to actually have that replace it. And like I said, there's just more openness to this.
So policy 1200 we would completely strike out 103.7. Completely.
Either that or have this verbiage replace 1037. Either one. And now I would suggest for the ease of operation to just replace 103.7.
So it's a good suggestion. Folks want,
Replaces 107.
103.7, yes. That's what I
Okay.
I'd add that to your board homework.
Are there any more of those?
I think so. I think.
Here,
Then folks take them home, read them, and bring suggestions or any edits that you might have to that at the next meeting, and then we can vote to either enact that or modify it, enact that, etc. Good.
And it's intended to be open, and it's not intended to make policy changes that are intended to get, so I don't want anyone getting the wrong impression.
Dave, I have a question. What happens with policy 1010 and 1011?
Hold on.
Staffing, recall, overtime, and.
Yeah, it's been kicking around for several months now.
Are we still,
Yes, that came from Jared Alswin, so that's got union oversight already on it, so the sooner that you are comfortable with it and you make it so, then it's gonna be better, because that will help for staffing quite a bit.
I thought this was the one that we were number 2.
And we,
You want to vote on it?
Do you have it too?
Mhm.
Yeah,
No, it's not enough to vote on.
have you? Yeah,
I probably looked at it.
I mean, it looked pretty straightforward.
it looks straightforward to me.
And if the union guys have sniffed it over, then
Yeah,
Well, Jared sent it to us after we kind of did a little bit of trading back and forth, and yeah, that's.
Have you guys looked at it?
No, we haven't looked at that.
Don't snag it, but you can.
No, yeah, we haven't looked at the.
Do the minimum.
Minimum staffing.
Yeah.
I think something else or we were.
So if this policy was enacted. If the fire whistle blows, are you allowed to call people back in?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, anybody can come, if we have a fire, anybody can just come back.
I'm not talking voluntarily. Can you pick up the phone and say, I need you back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's got force hire information in there.
Yeah.
Now, understand, I mean, that doesn't mean that somebody has to come back. There are circumstances where you can't come back.
Sure. Yeah, there's a list of,
What happened with your car fire? You couldn't get anybody to come in? Car fire in Weston.
Hold that one there. Correct. We did with what we had.
Question. Just left. I know there was some talk and chatter a few months ago. You know, because built into Andy's contract originally, there was some language in there that allowed him to staff from time to time. Now that CBA is in place, Andy being management, conflicts with that.
It does.
It does.
I had this conversation with Jared. I'm bringing this up because I don't necessarily see the actual language in here, but if we're below staffing and we've followed our process of callback, hey, we've called back career staff, we call back volunteers, we've called back, like we've gone down our list. We've exhausted all of our options. We can't get somebody here. Can we put him on a medic to make sure that we've got our staffing? That's verbally, Jared said, yes, we can do that once you've exhausted all of your things.
oh, but maybe it should be policy.
Well, it should be in the policy somewhere around force hire, right? Because
Yeah.
force hire says, hey, we tried to do this nicely, but now I'm making you come back in.
Right.
Is that where we could say, hey, it's just easier, we can't get somebody, we've already done this, do we plug in?
I think that's a good question.
So that would be more of a question that we'd have to follow up to see where that fits in. And if it fits into 6.4, A or whatever, and we're good, then I'm totally good with that. But I don't want to enact this and then like, oh, now we don't have a way.
Amend it.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest that we table this to next month's agenda pending that input for that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay.
And it might be in here, it's just.
I didn't see anything that,
It's
I don't see it.
yeah.
And I don't want, I don't think we should be using that as our. The intent would be that as the primary option anyway, it's there.
Last resort.
We would just need that to be the last resort so that we can staff and maintain coverage if we can't get other folks.
Exactly.
And we don't want to be outside the collective bargaining agreement either, where folks say, well, hey, you had this person. Well, yeah, we have this person because we done this, no one answered the phone.
Yeah.
We'll want all those things to add up and line up.
Exactly.
So we would add this one to our list also next month, and I'll get a hold of Jared, let's get a hold of him next week or tomorrow. Chat about it. So put that on my wish list. Yeah.
That's, I'm just ask, make sure that it's not mandatory that Andy, but he has the option of looking.
Yeah. No, we want to go with staff.
Correct.
We want to go with staff. If we can't get staff, we need to be able to plug that hole with other staff
Be able to, yes.
and not be outside the bounds of the CBA so that we're opening ourselves up, but we still need to maintain staff. That's the only intent.
That's exactly what I said. I just don't want to see Andy have to mandatorily, if I order somebody back and they can't get anybody back, he has to slide in. As long as he's got the option.
On my list. Anything else on policy?
No,
Is there, sorry, is there language in the callback with regard to length of time it would take to get to the station? So let's say something happens and you have somebody in Walla Walla or Pendleton or Tri-Cities and you try to call them, they're like, well, I'm 2 hours away. I mean, obviously you're not gonna try to force them to come back. I was going over it again. I don't see anything there, you know, or if, I don't know where all of our folks live, if they live in Pendleton, or I know we have some local, you know, I don't know that there's a requirement for them to live within a certain mileage or time from here.
I don't see anything in here about a time frame of like, hey, you got 30 minutes to get here or not.
You can't do that. That's illegal. You can't have the lawyer.
Well, no, I just didn't know if that
No,
was.
but like for, yeah, I don't see it in the policy necessarily that there's a 30-minute window. And if you can't be here in 30 minutes, then we'll go to the next person.
Mhm.
I don't know if that needs to be in policy or if that's in procedure.
I think it
Well,
all
and I
depends on how bad the situation is too.
Right. Well, I didn't see it in the, you know, exemptions for the callback. There was a little section on that as far as, you know, vacation or military leave, things like that, but,
I'll put
I was
those
curious.
to time frame to call.
Question.
because I know in there it does talk about the list of seniority of, you know, how they get called back. But if you have somebody who's 2 minutes away versus 2 hours away, are we waiting the 2 hours or are we gonna go to the next person on the list who, you know, is like 2 minutes away?
Right. Yeah, I don't know if that,
I don't know if you can do that, but
well, Paul's, my point is policy may be the place for that.
Mhm.
Policy may not be the place for
Right.
that. That may be. Policy says, hey, this is how you do it.
right.
Procedure says, this is what we do first, second,
Mhm.
third, fourth.
Well,
Wouldn't this be covered under 6.5?
Do you have the answer?
Documentation.
You're just staring at me like, just call on me and I'll tell you.
Member
I
response.
don't know if there's any right answer. It's just call
mhm.
the next person.
Okay.
I mean,
Right.
I put it out there and I just watch down the list as it goes through the list.
Yeah.
And, you know, either somebody picks up or they don't pick up.
2026, there's some really cool tools for that. I'm sure.
There is, and I'm working out the bugs in it because I found out today that we had an individual that wanted to work and he's not getting the notification. So I'm working through the system. So the system is actually a very nice system to work with, TrueSense, but happened to call him because I needed something from him. And I said, hey, did you get that call back by the way? And he goes, no. I said, oh, well, it's already passed you. You're on the callback list. Want to work? They wanted to work, so I just have to figure out that system. So there's a lot to that system that
Maybe
I don't
they'll have
think it is.
notifications.
That could be.
no, I didn't get it, but
Yeah.
Ignore Andy.
So we've got some homework on the policies. We got a review. What was the other ones? 1200 review. Sorry. 1200 black 130.103.7.
103.7.
Which is also a radio station. So whatever.
Yes.
I believe you.
103.5 and 102.7.
Oh,
Okay.
I was wrong.
Yeah, you're mixing them.
Okay. Make
I thought the same thing. I'm like, wait, that's not.
That's not right.
Reports, safety fuels, vehicles, chiefs. We got the chief's report. We heard about the ambulances. We heard very little about safety, but
I'm not getting the chief's report.
No?
No.
It comes out at the first of the month.
I don't know if there's an issue with the email. I mean, I get a bunch of other emails, but I don't get the chief's report.
Yeah, I didn't see it in mine either.
So if you could check out the email that they go out to, I appreciate it.
Move it.
Thanks.
Does anybody have any other questions on reports, comments?
You want the safety report?
Yeah. Let her up.
Travis Zimmerman, I'm the big chair, by default, I guess. So there is a substantial roof leak at Station 6-4, which was reported to both chiefs and, there's pictures, in the packet. There's more pictures. If you want to look at them. In January and February, the safety committee was asked for several safety items to be addressed. I still have not been given any direction on what to do with the inspections that were done at the other stations. The mountain station, which is Station 6-5, here is the building inspection report for Station 6-5.
Travis,
Yes.
real quick, what's 6-4?
That is Adam.
Adam, thank you.
Also, was speaking with Chief Beatty, with all of our surplus stuff that we have running around at all the stations. We came to an agreement that, we would have a surplus fire equipment cell. That is allotted for April 24th, 25th, and 26th. And that's going to be at Station 6-4, which is the Adams station. So all the other stations with all of their extra surplus stuff is going to be taken to the Adams station. Then that's where Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to have the surplus cell. It's going to be advertised on social medias, the newspaper in Pendleton, and the radio stations. So if anybody is bored on that weekend, please come and help. We could use a ton of help that weekend.
Can you give me that date again?
April 24, 25, and 26. It is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's going to be from 8 to 5. All 3 of those days. I have a dumpster lined up. So on Sunday, whatever doesn't sell, it's going to go in a dumpster and it's going to go away.
Can board members buy stuff?
Anybody can buy anything that they want. It's open to the public. Yeah.
Make sure you don't have any that stuff under there.
Yes, correct. And there was a container out in front of 6-4 that has that written on it. It is not that, it is oil. And I've asked for that to be taken away and disposed of properly. Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but April 2nd is when OSHA is coming.
April 30th.
30th?
Yep.
Oh, April 30th.
They moved it up.
Oh, okay. OSHA is coming to do their courtesy inspection. So, that's all I got from the safety committee.
I have an odd question.
Yes.
On my way here, I drove by Adams.
Okay.
From Pendleton.
Mhm.
I can't tell if it's on our property.
Those 3 cars.
Yeah, what is that?
So
Is that ours or
it is on our property.
next door?
It is on our property and we're using those for extrication training. They were given to us for free. They were delivered for free and they're being taken away for free.
So they're junkers on how to
Yeah. we're
get
using-
somebody out of them or something.
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Each shift got a car. So that's why there's 3.
I thought if you want junk cars, you could have half off mine.
So any other
That would
questions?
make it towards me, but
Okay.
thank
If
you.
you deliver, Chris, and pick up.
Yeah, I know.
Any other
He'll kill me.
questions, comments on reports, chief's reports, vehicles?
Nope.
Fuels, okay. Bring us to good of the order.
Nothing for me.
Nada.
Nothing.
None?
I've got some,
It's good for you.
Um, the board gave a thank you card to Joanne McCurran. Thank you for her service. Jessica Stanger is our temp from Express Personnel. She's doing very, very well. She has organized our OSFM grants, and that was a place of nervousness for me for a long time. It just got to handle, and I really do appreciate that. And I thank you very, very much, the entire board, for going forward and making some kind of decision about how this fire chief was going to go, because however you go is going to make budget impacts, and it's my job right now is to get the budget squared away, and we can't square it away until we know what's going to happen. And if you were to fly it, then you're looking at a lot of money with what we look at. So I'm just thankful that you guys are making a decision, and you're not just, we'll talk about it next month. So thank you.
I guess on that prompts a question, where are we at with flying the admin?
So we found out today that it has not been flown like we were told or led to believe that it was. So we're going to snap the ring on that and find out what the minimums are and get that ad out there so that we can start scheduling some interviews and whatnot. If we were to take Jessica and just give her a job, number one, it's legal, but it's got some tweaks to it. And then we would also owe Express Personnel Services a buyout, basically, the buyout inside the first 6 months.
So we asked, well, yeah, it's good to have that update. That job needs to fly. We've made the decision to fly the part-time position competitively through the process, whatever the process is.
Correct.
So yeah, let's get that done.
And we sure thought that it was, but we found out today that it wasn't.
Okay.
So like I said, we're gonna do things quickly. Illegally, we'll do things quickly, but we'll get that going quick.
Okay. The only other one, and I guess I probably should put this back in old business. I'm just kind of thinking through stuff, was the water pressure tank, the bid for that.
That's my fault. I should have those bids
No, we approved
we
it.
approved that
up to 10,000.
Right. Yeah, it's been a couple months ago.
And the bids I got back are 18 from Widmer and 13.5 from A1.
So they
I thought
exceeded.
you had a bid that was low.
That's what I thought too.
Around 9 is what I thought.
Yeah.
Let's look at it closer, and
We looked at it closer and it was more than that.
that did not include the labor.
Okay, so the water pressure pump bid from A1 is 13.5.
That's the number. That's the number.
Is that the one?
The other one is 18 and some change, and I would rather.
Yeah, we gave you the ability to spend up to 10.
Up to 10.
Yeah, so we want to move forward with that?
Yes, please. I would like to, but
So the lowest bid came in at $13,485 for the pressure pump. So I know we've batted this around for a while, so I'm all about getting things off our plate. I would entertain a motion to accept the bid of $13,485 and give the chief the ability to go get that done.
So
Question, is that, do we know if that bid is still good or how many
yes,
days
we
is it?
reestablished.
Okay,
They rebid it, and
Okay.
the number so good.
so it comes back.
We're still inside the 30 or 60 days. What did he say?
It was good for 30 days.
30. Okay.
That's on the, that's what you said, so I'm assuming it was with that. So we're within the 60 days. Did you say 30 or 60?
She's 30.
30, we're within the 30 days. So
I moved,
Greg made a motion to accept that bid and move forward.
correct.
I'll second it.
It's been seconded by Chris. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Pressure.
I'd like to know about the roof leak in Adams. Can we get some bids and get that fixed?
Yeah, yes, we can. We'll get some minutes and we'll present that to the board.
Don't we have trucks with ladders on it? And don't we have guys that have time between calls? Send them up there with the call can go.
Duct tape
Your
and
farmers are
coffee.
good at
Yep.
that kind of thing. Got a big old 5 gallons of roofing cover, don't you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
They're better at poking holes than fixing them.
So the only other thing on good of the order then is just for simplicity, Chris, you guys have this policy in email? Can you kick that to the top of our inboxes? Just send that back
Yes.
out.
You got that? I think you did it last month, so.
You probably did, so it's probably not too far down. No,
Yes,
I'll scroll down and find it.
So can I ask a question on the admin job? I'm just curious. It didn't move forward. I mean, like, where was the ball dropped that it hasn't been posted? Because we've had this conversation for months.
December or December, probably January for sure. So, yeah. You know?
Yes.
So can you just get on Indeed tomorrow and post a job and put whatever the legal, if it's 7 days or 10 days or whatever the legal.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
And I promise you I will.
Perfect.
And how long does Jessica, if we were to keep her, what's you're with Express?
Yes. I believe I was contracted for a number of hours rather than a number of months. And I believe that number was 720 hours. So whatever of that contract I had satisfied in hours would be relieved from the buyout.
700.
So
What? 20?
720, I believe.
we should have never agreed to that amount, but that's crazy. So can we
Normally it's
find
like
out?
6 months.
Well, 6 months would be 1,040 at full time, so 720 would be about.
It's a 6-month contract.
4 months.
And the first time I talked to Stephanie, the buyout was gonna be about $4,200, but it probably much less now.
Well, we'll cross that bridge. So, yeah, good question.
I would like to state that I am interested in the position.
Good.
And capable.
You're doing very well.
Yes. Yes.
Good.
Thanks.
So is there a difference with her, just buying out the contract versus putting the job out and having her apply through outside sources?
No, there's not any difference because what I'm told is if we flew the job and Jessica was to see it and then apply and then we hire her, we'd still owe inside that 6 months, we'd still owe Express
Absolutely.
something.
Yeah, we hired ours through Express.
Is that
We,
Let the contract run out?
Definitely, we just need to run through.
Oh, I think if you find the right person, it's
For the end of that, then it's higher.
then it can just move on over to our payroll.
I think that way too, but I mean, for.
So
I
as
think
in we're
just
still
keep
paying
everything
the
above
next.
Yeah, so we're kind of going off on.
She got a point. Yeah, something to say.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that fulfilling the contract hours is costing the district approximately $37 an hour. And you would have to measure how much that would cost you versus the buyout. Because one will be more expensive than the other.
She gets $25 an hour from Express and it costs us 36. So that's Express making their money.
Right. No, that makes sense. I guess just. We're a public entity. We need to follow the process and do things the right way. And as we moved before, we said we want to move forward to fly a position. We have budget, etc. workload need for a part-time position. That's supposed to be flown. I think we continue to pursue that.
Yes.
get that out there. If you're interested in the job, I highly encourage you to apply when it hits the streets and it's open. But we do need to have an open competitive process for those being a public entity, so. And if, yeah, and we'll cross the bridges with buyouts and whatever else, you know, if they come along, so. With that, I think that's the good of the order for me. We've got a couple extra bonus items in there. So unless anyone has anything else. Our next regular scheduled meeting is April 16th. Ray, do you have something?
Yes, he does.
Just very quickly, for the budget, do you guys have anything drafted that you can send to Chris?
Consensus, it's lots of pencils and lots of research that you're welcome to look at.
Excel is great.
That's the program that we used initially, and that was a while ago. We're still working, we're still trying to crunch numbers. And can we get away?
Yeah,
Can we
anything
do
you
this?
have would be good, so I can spend.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Sorry.
So,
I would make it motion.
and I'll second it.
So moved by Chris, second by Chris, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Got 24.